Happy Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 99. Episode 99. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks blog editor-in-chief, Nick Villano, streaming live on Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Tonight, we've got a great podcast for you. It's titled, Let's Go, Chico. Chico Resch is our special guest coming up shortly. We're going to be talking about the New Jersey Devils. We're going to be talking about Bingo, Binghamton Devils. Something happened, Nick. Something happened. Should we start off the top and something happened? Did it happen?
With the Binghamton Devils?
Yeah.
You scare me when you say something happened, Sam. You say something happened. I think we got knocked offline. I'm like sharing this everywhere, and I'm like, oh, I gotta copy paste it. I gotta do it again. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I haven't spoken. Sam's been talking for 3 minutes straight without taking a breath. So this is great. I can share everything. I can, I was gonna share the Facebook link to Twitter so people can ask their questions in the comment section. Everything was working out, and then you said something happened. Well, yeah, something happened. So the Binghamton Devils, they were looking really good. So tonight, after losing, I think they're on like a 5-game losing streak. Actually, it might be more. I might be confusing them with the Devils' current losing streak, but they're in a bad way, Sam. They're looking really bad this season, and things are just not sinking into place. They had to keep rotating people into the taxi squad. The COVID outbreak kind of trickled down to them a little bit and then changed their schedule up a little bit. They haven't been able to practice as much. They have all these new players. There's a lot of bad going in Binghamton, but Graham Clark looked absolutely amazing the last game after signing his entry-level contract. He looked good again tonight, scored a goal on the power play. The team was driving play. They were tied, but it looked like that they were on the right side of play and everything was going their way. And then the Binghamton Devils come out. They skate the ice for the second period. They're getting ready. And the Binghamton Devils Twitter account goes, I don't know where Lehigh Valley is. Stand by, trying to get information. They just didn't, it's, the lack of communication on this is starting to get annoying. Because it seems like, and I'm sure it's annoying for the teams. Like how are you gonna let one team skate out there and get out there, and while the other one's standing by for a possible COVID test and a possible positive COVID test? And it sounds like that's what happened. Somebody in Lehigh tested positive and they canceled the game. That's what it sounds like. The release from the AHL says tonight's Lehigh Valley versus Binghamton game has been suspended following the first period due to league COVID protocols. Obviously, they don't release specifics. A lot of the times the players give specifics later, but we usually don't get that for like a week or two. So right now you're just kind of sitting back. I should know this, Sam. I can't remember if they put AHL players on the COVID protocol list that they do for the NHL. I'm drawing a blank on that. I would imagine they would, but maybe there's a different list. I can ask around. I can find it pretty quickly, but it doesn't really matter. I think we find out by tomorrow what happened. I actually think we could probably find out by the end of the podcast what happened and what's going to happen from now on. Mm-hmm. But this doesn't look good for their schedule. You just hope and pray that maybe one Lehigh player tested positive and it's not going to spread. But we saw what happened, Sam. The Devils had an outbreak. We waited a couple days, and then Buffalo had an outbreak. And both teams' season is ruined because of it. Yep. Dallas had an outbreak, and their season is ruined. I know it's an excuse, but it's a valid one. And it's one that has a history, or I don't know if you want to say history because it's all happening this season, but one that has precedent behind it. It's one that we saw what happened to the Stars. The Stars have won, I don't remember if they won or not last night, but before last night, they won 3 out of their last 16 games, Sam. They're 3-13 in the last 16. There's some overtime losses in there. I think 3 or 4, but still, that is an awful record for the team that was in the Stanley Cup final last year. So now you're going to take a New Jersey Devils team that's not as talented as them and doesn't have the veteran presence as them and doesn't, they need a little bit more to go right for them to make the playoffs this year. And you put an outbreak on them and it's over. Like it derailed the season entirely. But here's the good news is that Dallas is starting to play better in the last week. So it took them about 3 or 4 weeks of really bad play. And now this week they've looked better. So maybe that's what it is. 3 or 4 weeks. That first week that you're back, you're fine. The ill effects aren't there. You saw it with the Devils. You saw it with the Sabres. You saw it with the Stars. The Stars won 4 in a row. The Devils won 2 in a row. The Sabres didn't look terrible coming out of the outbreak. But every team just falls off a cliff after that. And then it's 4 weeks of bad. And then you start to get better. I'm not saying you're fine, but it starts to look better. And then, the good news is if the Devils are better in 2 weeks, there's two reasons why that's good for this team. A, we get to watch better hockey. And the hockey has been unwatchable for most of it. Even the Bruins win was a 1-0 win. There wasn't a ton of high danger chances. It was just the game overall was very blasé. It was great because we won. We ended a 5-game losing streak. Yesterday's game, the third period was wonderful. And the last 25 minutes of playtime was wonderful. But the first 35, the Devils looked god-awful. They looked like they didn't deserve to be on the ice with the Washington Capitals. So, obviously, only the final matters. So the fact that the Devils were on a point last night was incredibly exciting. It was incredibly fun. I very much enjoyed it. I love that Sharon Govich is scoring again. I love that Miles Wood is continuing to score. I love that the bottom 6, the middle 6 is producing. But the problem with this team is that the top players are not. So that it just seems like this COVID outbreak just really took the wind out of their sails, no pun intended. But if you could get the Zajac that you saw last night, he doesn't have to get 3 assists every night, but if you get a guy who's running around the ice, looking for the puck, looking for the open man, trying to get people open, trying to pass people open, if you get the Yanni Kokkonen that you saw last night, who's being opportunistic with the puck, if you get, there's a lot to like about last night. There's a lot not to like, but there's a lot to like. So we're going to try to focus on the positive. We're going to try to focus on things like it could be getting better, Sam, and maybe we're still a week from it actually being better, a week or 2 from being better. Unfortunately, I think it's too late. Those are already 11 points out of a playoff spot. And Boston's in that 4th spot. And they'd have to jump. I think they could jump the Rangers. I think that's doable, but then you'd also have to jump Philly. I think the things that you need from this team is you need them to play fun because you want to get Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier excited again. You need to get Mackenzie Blackwood back going. I think he's fine. I really do. People are jumping off the bridge on Mackenzie Blackwood. Calm down. Carter Hart looks like garbage too. So it's just one of those weird seasons. We have to kind of take it in stride. Blackwood, first of all, goalies are streaky anyway nowadays, but we have to stop overreacting to every bad Blackwood loss. Like it happens. Like I think Carter Hart has like an 883 save percentage over his last 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So, are the Philadelphia Flyers fans jumping off the bridge for him? Maybe, but it'd be stupid. These guys are both supremely talented. I think they're going to be the best goalies in this division moving forward. Shesterkin's fine, and Sorokin's fine. They're both really good players, but I think that Blackwood and Carter Hart are a step above, and I wouldn't take this season. I would take the season with a grain of salt. It is what it is. They had an outbreak. Things just kind of fell apart. they have this weird schedule where they're playing the same team over and over again. And we haven't played Pittsburgh yet, right?
No, we have not.
So I think we've played the Flyers once. But we've played, the Sabres a lot, Boston 4 times, and we still got that 4-game series with the Rangers coming up, which is going to be interesting. But I think the Devils will be better by then. I do.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. I just want it to be fun, Sam. I really just want it to be fun. I want to be excited to watch Devils hockey. For a while there, I was like, there's a game tonight. I don't want to feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, feel like, I'm going to watch the game until I turn it off because I'm angry. And, I got to tweet the game. I got to live tweet the game. I got to write an article about it for Pucks and Pitchforks. I got to talk on the State of the Fan address. I got to know what I'm talking about. But for games like last night, I'm excited to watch the game. And now I'm excited to watch tomorrow to see, after 2 straight games where the effort level was actually there and there was a fight and a compete and they didn't give up. Okay, cool. I'm willing to go back all in. I'm willing to give you my time. And yeah, so I just made fun of you for talking for 3 minutes straight and then I talked for 10. So Sam, I'll give you a second to respond to the many things I just said.
Well, I wasn't sure if I don't know. You went on a streak right there. It was like I did my monologue, doing a little plugging, getting to the podcast, and then boom, you're just like the 5th pitcher in a starting rotation. You're just eating up innings. I was like, yes, yeah. This is great. But hey,
I'm Jordan Montgomery out here.
We got Chico on, and I always love having Chico on because he still sees the game like a goaltender would, and he sees everything like from a bird's eye view, and I think he's very insightful. I mean, he talked us off the ledge, Scotty and I, after that Rangers loss last Thursday. And put things into perspective, and he asked that question. He's like, "Who are the Devils snipers?" And Scotty and I looked at each other. We're like, Zaka? I don't know. And he's like, exactly, And
well, here's
right
the thing.
now, what's that?
The Palmieri is supposed to be the sniper, and Goosehead was supposed to be the sniper. You just suck this year.
They're just not getting it done.
So they
that's
have
just the bottom line.
Snipers. They have them. They exist. They just aren't doing it this year, and that's an issue.
Yeah, I mean they're very streaky, and right now they're in a funk. Right? They're just yeah. But
and Palmieri does look better. I'll give Palmieri. He does look better.
Last couple games, yeah. But yeah, let me go get Chico. Nick, let me go get Chico.
Okay.
Get him on the horn.
Talk to Facebook and YouTube and the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, YouTube. Don't forget about YouTube. YouTube usually comes strong now for these podcasts. They like to comment.
Yeah. We got to find the YouTube comments. But yeah, listen, I am very excited to talk to Chico. I have a lot to talk about. I also want to know from the Let's Go Devils fans out there, who's excited about this ESPN deal? This ESPN deal is important. Getting the Devils, I mean, the funny thing is Steve Palumbo from the blog pointed out that, I think it was Steve, maybe it was somebody else, but they pointed out that the last time the Devils had a dynasty was when we were on ESPN. I believe it was on ESPN from 92 to 2004. Don't know if y'all know this. Devils were very good then. 3 Stanley Cups, constant playoff appearances, made the finals in 2001. This team was very good during that era. That's all superstition. I don't think it actually has anything to do with anything. But this team is in an interesting spot. They're in an interesting spot because they have too many prospects now. And they're going to get more at the trade deadline. More draft picks, more prospects, everything. But they're missing top flight talent. Maybe Holtz is that. He's been struggling as of late, but he's young. He's playing the SHL. We've seen players struggling in the SHL and come to the United States and just dominate. So I'm hoping he does that. I actually hope that the Devils sign him sooner rather than later, so they can bring him over as soon as his season's over. His regular season is supposed to end at the end of this month. It looks like his team's going to make the playoffs, at least that first round, but they're struggling, and it looks like they're going to get a bad matchup in the first round. So they could be done by early to mid-April, which would mean that Holtz could be here by, for the last 5 or 6 games of the season. And I think that would be good for the Devils if they can get Holtz here and playing with Hughes. Get some chemistry going with them early. I think that would be good. Dawson Mercer's on a similar trajectory, but his team is much better. So his team has a chance to go farther in the QMJHL playoffs. So we probably won't see him this year just because of timing, but he's been dominant this year. He's looked really good. He had a hat trick the other night. So he's somebody to get excited about. And then Tice Thompson's back to scoring again, and I think that he could be somebody the Devils sign at the end of his season. Providence is ranked around 17th in the country, I believe. And I don't know what more he has to prove in the NCAA. It was a weird season, and I don't know. Maybe he wants to go back for one more, but I don't see Providence has that Frozen Four type talent, even with Tice there. So I actually see him signing, and maybe he gets a game in this season. That'd be fun. It'd be fun to see the future like that. It would be fun to see Holtz, maybe Mercer, but probably not, but Thompson, those players that are going to be cornerstones and have looked really good for this roster and fit very specific parts of that roster. Throwing Tice Thompson on the right wing, if Zajac, keeps his no move clause, you throw him next to Zajac and he can learn a lot like Joey Anderson did last year. Or, you put Holtz on that top line with Hughes and you could kind of see how that looks right off the bat. And, you've seen what Igor Sharangovich has looked like this season, and there are spurts where he's just dominant in the play and he just skates through everybody. Yanni Kokkonen, like I said, he's been very, there are times where he's taken advantage and he's been an opportunist, and I love that about him. That's what you want from your bottom 6 guys. And Miles Wood goes without saying, him leading the league in him leading the team in scoring. Obviously, it's a bad thing because it's not enough scoring, but he's on, I think, like a 30-goal pace. So it's not terrible. And the fact that he's leading the team in scoring is a good thing for the future because he's going to be here for a while. Unless Seattle takes him, which I look at every player on this Devils team. I don't know who they're protecting. They got to protect some NHL players. So they're probably going to protect Wood because he fits a very specific role on this team. And, he's a guy to get excited about down the stretch. Then you got McLeod and Bastian. McLeod keeps getting scratched, which is weird to me. I don't understand that concept. And he went back to the taxi spot today. He didn't have a great game yesterday, but he's definitely one of the better players on the team, and he brings an energy to the ice. And he's been more consistent than most. I don't understand that concept. Baltsev has fallen off a little bit. But he's still a pretty consistent player. He does a lot of things right. He's one of the better defensive forwards, and Lindy Ruff seems to really like him. I could go down the line. Everything, there's a lot to like about this team. The defense needs work, obviously, and it's a veteran squad. Think about who's on the chopping block: Kulikov, Ryan Murray, Connor Carrick, and Sami Vatanen are all unrestricted free agents at the end of the season. PK Subban has been rumored to be in trade talks, and then he's rumored to be going to Seattle. And there's always going to be rumors around PK, but there seems to be a little bit more fire with the smoke this year, so he could get moved. So that's 5 of your starting defensemen that you're going to move, and you're left with Damon Severson, Ty Smith, and Will Butcher. you don't have starting NHL defensemen in the prospect pool. Like Kevin Ball's not ready. I like Kevin Ball now. I'm a Kevin Ball stan. I didn't like him last year, but I think that he's in a much better position to succeed. But he's not ready. Riley Walsh is not ready. He's playing third line for Binghamton right now. Maybe you bring up Colton White. Sure. I just think he's limited. Maybe you bring up Josh Jacobs again. Sure. Josh Jacobs has upside to be a third pairing defenseman, which is fine. I don't know what to say more than that. He looked really good in training camp. He looked really good in those scrimmages. He's looked fine in Binghamton, but Binghamton has been an abject disaster. And I don't know what you can assess from that about who's going to be good in the next level. So it's a very strange situation the Devils are in right now. They have pieces to move without the pieces to move in yet. They need NHL players. They can't, if they just went with the roster as is after selling at this deadline, I don't know how anything is going to make sense. But yeah. So Sam, you're back. I want another rant. I didn't answer any questions.
Oh, you know what? I know how you like to talk, right? LOL.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, I can't wait for our next guest. He's a great friend of the podcast. But before we have him on, we got to have a dramatic intro because I feel responsible that the Devils didn't win the last game. You know why? Because this is what happened.
What'd you do?
Watching the game, the Devils were down 4-1. I got mad, and I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And then I realized I have to do the post game, so I have to watch this. So instead, I went from Kanji and Dano, and I went to Matt and Chico on the Devils Hockey Network on the app, and I'm listening. Suddenly, it's 4-2. But what stunk was I would get the alert because there's a 4-minute delay, and I would get the alert, and it's like I get the alert first, and then I hear the call, and then I get the alert again from the MSG app, and it's suddenly 4-3, then 4-4, and I'm listening to Chico and Matt, and then suddenly I couldn't help myself, but now I had to watch the overtime, and then I screwed it up. So I figured I'd need to be listening to Matt and Chico now to keep the good mojo going, because that's how winning streaks come about. Anyway, for the dramatic intro, a good friend of the podcast, we found this Chico and the Man theme song.
Things will be better. Oh, yes, they will. For Chico and the Man. Yes, they will. For Chico and the Man.
Pleased to welcome to the State of the Fan address, Glenn Chico Resch. Chico, was that a great intro or what?
Sam and Nick, I've never heard. I mean, if I heard that back in the 70s, I don't remember it. Good job finding it.
Sam with a deep dive.
Huh?
I said Sam with a deep dive. Get that?
Yeah, that was a deep dive. Sam, good for getting that, but bad for leaving Chico and Maddie. Oh my!
Oh yeah, I needed the visual when it was 4-4, and I needed the visual. But next game, I'll test it out again. I'm just going to go straight. Well, I'll watch Bryce and Erica the pregame, because we have a little inside joke amongst the podcast right now that Erica wardrobe watch. Anytime she wears leather, the Devils win, and she hasn't worn anything leather since then. So, and I may have to get some analytics on that winning percentage.
Very good, very good.
And I have to call out Sam for a sec, because Sam, you know the story of me with Game 6 against the Rangers in the conference finals. I was actually driving to Pittsburgh to meet my girlfriend, my now wife's family, for the first time, and I had to listen to it on my phone for the entire ride. So if I could do that for Game 6 of the conference finals and have to go back and watch the Henrique It's Over, You could listen to Chico and Matt in overtime, two of the best in the business. Come on, Sam.
Yeah, I could. One of these days we should do a real podcast about hockey, superstition and luck, because I think the worst one I had was real quick, Game 5 against Dallas at home at the Meadowlands, and I had this thing where I don't go to the bathroom till there's a goal scored, and it was 0-0 third overtime, and I was literally holding it the entire time, and I had it, and I was like, I can't go to the bathroom because I got to take one for the team, and then Mike Villano scored. Yeah.
Don't lie, Sam. Don't fib us. You had a diaper on. We heard the info. You had a diaper just in case you couldn't hold it.
There you go.
I gotta give you guys a scoop. I'm giving you a scoop for this podcast. No one here in New Jersey has heard it, or it's been mentioned, and it kind of ties into Nick's Adam Henrique scoring the goal. Okay. Adam Henrique, his girlfriend, then his fiance, remember Steve Thomas played a little bit?
Yes, 96.
And Steve, yes, and he had a daughter, and I forget her name, but she went to school out in San Diego, and of course, Adam got traded out there, but they were dating before. Adam, about within the last 2 months, asked her if she would marry him, and she said yes. So for all the single girls or anybody who loved Adam Henrique, and he's just such a fine young man, this is the first anyone's heard of it, and it's a scoop that Adam Henrique is going to be married sometime this coming summer.
Oh, good for Adam. We still love Adam. We still root and stand for Adam. So congrats to Adam Henrique. That's a great scoop, Sam. That's a great scoop.
Wait.
Chico, we appreciate that.
Is this Steve Thomas's daughter, you said? Did I hear that right?
Yep. Yeah.
Now, Steve Thomas was on the Hells Angels line, if you remember that line, Chico, back in 96. The Hells Angels line, yeah.
Yeah, who was on it, remember?
It was a Sikora, I think, and Guerin? I don't remember. I just remember Steve Thomas was on that line that year.
Well, yeah, I don't remember. I got to be honest, I don't remember that line. It's one of the... You remember the ZZ Pops line?
Yes.
I remember that one. I don't remember this Hells Angels line that Sam's talking about.
Oh, back then, the Devils couldn't score any goals. It was all defense and Brodeur, and that was the only line that could score that year.
But anyway,
I'm not sure. Yeah. We digress. We would love to be transported back into that time when the Devils, if you talk in 96, I mean, they won the Cup in 95, then we're going to win it 2 more. So there might have been some periods of lack of scoring, but they got it all together and won 2 more Cups, so good for them. But now we got bigger things we got to straighten out. Sammy and Nick, like superstition. Okay, here's one thing, though, that you guys talk about. Why is it? I cannot put my finger on it. Why do some teams and some individuals just feel good about playing other teams? Like when we play Boston, 3 times we've beaten them. They've never really, the first period of the first game they dominated. They don't look confident against us, and we find a way to beat them. Whereas the Caps, they were just cruising last night, like saying, this is so easy. We're just going to cruise on to the finish line. And then fortunately the Devils came to life, partly because the Caps, honestly, they just quit playing. I looked at the replays and some of the goals, and I'm thinking, there's 3 guys caught up back in the Devils' end. Their line changes were terrible. But anyway, why? Why do some teams have other teams' numbers, and why is the superstition seemingly part of the winning and losing?
Well, I can tell you something. You probably saw this with the Washington game. Washington comes into the Devils game with a strategy, score early, and then sit back and frustrate the Devils. And it backfired yesterday because they tried to. I mean, we've seen Washington go an entire period without a shot because they're just trying to not. They're trying to frustrate the Devils. They're trying to get a young team off its game. Peter Laviolette is a veteran coach, so he tends to hit the marks as they come, and he knows that this team gets easily, I don't want to say easily frustrated, but we've seen them get frustrated in the past. We've seen them grip their stick a little too hard. And, we saw that with Palmieri hitting the back of a guy on a game tying goal. I think it was Carlson. We've seen every, break go Washington's way in these. And then yesterday, it seemed like the Devils finally learned from those mistakes. They know that Washington's just going to sit back and try to frustrate us. So let's put up a strategy to work around that. And that seems like what Washington does. I don't know if it was anything mental more than it was just they couldn't figure out how to work around that strategy until last night when, maybe they got to see some extra tape and see what happens to see. I don't know if they were doing a trap per se or if they were doing more of just like a aggressive forecheck. But that's what I saw, Chico. I don't know. What did you see?
Well, only because I've been there, and you can't plan that. Like, okay, let's say Sharon Govich's goal. The Caps make a bad change. Now, even they hopefully don't think they're so good. They look at, let's just have three guys out there sometimes. The Devils can't beat it. They make a change and a pass to Sharon Govich. Now, if you look at how many we had shots. If you look at, he kind of toe drags it and shoots it short side high. Gorgeous shot. Okay? That's not something that all of a sudden you say, okay, now start shooting there. How about Miles Wood, top shelf, short side, and how about the great pass? Who gave him that? Was it Zaka on a backhand pass? My point is, but if Miles shoots that high and wide, huh?
I thought it was Palmieri, but I think I'm wrong now.
Who do you think?
I thought it was Palmieri, but I think I'm wrong now. I think I'm thrown off.
Well, hey, I don't have the greatest memory, so you could be right. But whoever gave the grab pass, but then he's got to shoot it like upstairs under the bar. And we've seen Miles. He did it in Buffalo, but that's not his consistent shot. So now you've got two gorgeous shots, and then I like Damon Stevenson as a person. You like Damon, but I'm saying Damon. Yeah. You came in. You told us that you had some offensive ability. You think of yourself as an offensive guy. Well, you just can't get a wide pass and go down the wing every time, which we've seen a few times, and blast it by the goalie's blocker. So what does he do last night? He gets the puck, and you look at it, you guys. He's got the puck. He's got one of the Caps coming out to him. He kind of, for him, not like a sweet dance, but he just kind of skips a little bit to the left inside, toe drags it, and rips it, not hitting the Cap player, which we do so often. They block shots. He gets it through him. I don't know if the goalie didn't quite see it. Floats it up into the top corner. Here's all I'm saying, Nick and Sammy. Those things, you can't all of a sudden on the bench say, okay, guys, it's the third period, start shooting, lasers. And it's, some of it is just the Caps, two line changes. We got him on it. Woody's was that one too on the bad. So my point is, I think what happens, you got TJ Oshie. He tips the puck, and he does it so often, but it was a kind of a nothing play, goal. They just scored so easily. I think they think we just have it, and I don't know what it is, you guys. You just feel like some teams, no matter what we do, we'll find a way to beat them, and the other team, no matter how well we play, those guys always. So I don't know what it is. It's like Doc and I used to talk about the on-scene hand, meaning some of the things that take place in hockey, you can't describe as a set play. It's just bouncing of the puck and circumstances. So anyway, that was my take on it.
So, you watched the game, you saw them, they got a little luck, like you said. Something finally, something went their way. They lost in overtime, but they got the point. They came back. They tied a team that they looked dead in the water going into the third period. When they came back and they scored to make it 3-1, I think it was Kokanen's goal. And then Washington came back and scored again. It felt like a backbreaker, but something happened in the third intermission. And then all the reports say that they were super loose in practice today. They had a shootout competition where everybody was having fun. It seemed like it was not business as usual. It seemed like things felt loose. And I want to ask you. You've seen.
Nope.
You've seen this multiple times. You've seen teams go through ebbs and flows. Do you think that this Devils team maybe just needed something like this to snap them out of whatever they were doing?
Well, it certainly helps their goal scoring. But let me ask you this: how loosey-goosey fun were they having before that Boston game? Now, I know they didn't have a practice. I don't think they were too loosey-goosey. I think they were stinking nose to the grindstone, thinking, you know what? We should be embarrassed. The Rangers just dominate us twice. I keep saying things always, like I said on the air last night. I'm tired of saying players say we got to play the right way. What does that mean? What do you mean play the right way? Tell me more specifically. I get fired up. Like I look at Maddie when a guy says we got to play the right way. I said, what is this, a secret? What is it? So anyway, and then I would say to this in Boston, they got to the point where you guys say players say we got to learn from this. We've got to back each other up. We got to da-da-da-da-da. And in life, I get to the point where enough about the talk. Could you walk the talk? I don't, and I know the media has to just take what the players answer. They can't pin them down. But honestly, some of this stuff, I'm thinking, would somebody ask a secondary question to kind of pin them down on what that really means? We got to learn from this. What does that mean? You're never going to come out flat against the Rangers again like you did. Do you know what I mean? So my point is, I think there is a balance, and too much intensity or pressure isn't good. But then too loosey-goosey isn't good. But I think what it was, guys, and you see it, there was a cloud, and there has been with this young team for a few years until we get some goal scorers and snipers. There's a cloud that, you know what, we aren't a team that can really dictate getting to 3 and 4 goals. We can maybe play well defensively and keep the other team to 2, but especially with our power play, right, guys? We can't be good to say, yeah, we're going to score 3 or 4 goals. So I think when it happened, they were just all so pumped to lead, that maybe something did click loose. It'll be a good test in the next 3 games to see if we've adjusted and are going to become better offensively or not. Because you know what the Islanders play like. That's it for me.
Well, Chico, we have a question from the Facebook Live. Daniel asks, "Why are we terrible at home?" Could you answer that?
Okay, let's talk about that now, guys. I know there's no crowd, which can minimize the home ice advantage. But you are perfectly right. What could be some of the factors? Let's just see if the 3 of us, and if Daniel can throw one, what would be the things that you would check off that could be a factor? Could there be less fear at home, or less preparation, or less focus at home? I'm asking you guys. I'm not saying it. What do you think?
I have an idea, but I don't know.
What's that?
I wouldn't know. Sometimes the ice.
Okay.
Could it be the ice? And it's not a knock on the ice people. I'm sure they're great, but sometimes I always feel like the ice could be a factor, but I just don't know. I'm not there to see it.
No, it's not, because the other team's playing on the same ice.
That's true.
No, that is not a factor. And
I also wonder.
That's something. That's a good question, though.
I wonder if it has. this is an unprecedented season, Chico. This is something we've never seen before.
Mhm.
And the team had an outbreak
Right.
that some people brought home. And when you play at home, you have to face those realities while also being a professional athlete. When you're on the road, you only have to face the realities of being a professional athlete. Obviously, you care about your family at home, but it's not right in your face. You can focus a little more.
Sure.
Maybe you can pay attention to the things in the others. I don't know. This again, I don't know that for a fact, but hearing, the little we heard about what Zajak's family went through with the COVID outbreak, that's got to weigh in them a little bit.
Well, yes, and I agree with you 100%. Even eliminate the COVID. I mean, just when you're at home, you get up in the morning, it's the afternoon, you got kids, you got wife you might be talking to. You're absolutely right. And I remember that when I played, that sometimes at home, you're not coming quite as focused because, as you said, on the road, what else you gonna be focused on? But the counter, and this is where I think the lack of fans hurt. Sometimes when you're not as prepared or focused or whatever, the home team, you skate out on the arena, and those crowd, your home team is just a roaring, and you see them, and you know what I mean? It can flip the focus that you maybe lacked earlier coming to the rink or at home. It can flip it, and now you are focused. So I absolutely agree with you guys that just this season has been unusual, and I think eliminating our fans and any fans has really maybe been more of a detriment to us. Because I remember my first and second year. When you're a young team like we are, you really have fun with the fans. I mean, you've played in the minor leagues or you played in junior, and now you come to the NHL and your home fans are just a howling. It does inspire you, and we've got a lot of young guys. So I think that hurts as well.
Let me ask you this, Chico, because you talked about detriment about fans. I've heard complaints from people who've been to multiple arenas about the fake fan noise at Prudential, and people in the stands saying they don't like it. So I heard people say that the fake fan noise sounds like the roar of a goal the second they enter the zone. I'm just spitballing here, but that's something that's completely different than most years. So maybe that's a little distracting because the other team doesn't have to deal with that.
Oh, I see. I think it's irritating. I've had a lot of fans tell me that. And it's a fine line on the people running the sound machine. But whether it would be a deciding factor in the actual outcome of the game, again, both teams are hearing it. No, I think it's just a bit of an irritation now. It wasn't so much when it first happened, but now, it's like anything after a while, phony. You can kind of pretend, even like a video game or something. At first, it's so exciting. And after a while, I'm kind of tired of this phony. I want the real thing. So I don't know. I just, I think the accountability of home fans used to be a big factor too. I mean, when the fans are there and you're not playing well and you hear your fans boo you, I mean, if it doesn't hurt you, then, you're not playing for the right reasons. You become like kind of cold, I think, if that's not bothering you. So I think we hit on one of the things is the lack of fans may hurt our Devils team because of the youth and the fact that we need some external things, whatever they are, to spur us on. I mean, you take a veteran team like the Islanders, it's mostly internal. They've been together and they're coached and they're experienced. But for us, we need external motivation at times. And at home, we're not really getting any of that, so that might be a factor.
So I want to go back to like on the ice and just kind of who's playing well and who's not. And it seems like all the players who are playing well are secondary players. You talked about Igor Shangovich, you talked about Miles Wood. All those players are playing better than we expected, which is great. You know, it definitely sets up for the future. It gives us something to get excited about. It provides more fan favorites. But the issue is that you got, you know, we brought up Palmieri, we brought up Nikita Gusev, or you know, we could talk about Nikita Gusev. We could talk about, you know, the top players. Travis Zajac before last night was struggling. These top players, and PK Subban has struggled at times too. These top players were supposed to help these kids go and get them started, but now these veterans are the ones who need starting. How important is it to this team moving forward to get players like Gusev and Palmieri and Zajac and Subban getting them going?
Oh, it's just a great point you make, and you know, okay, we'll just start with Travis. Travis and Kokkonen, I saw him on the bench. They were chuckling. Travis made a great play. Now you say, well, why did all of a sudden they score? Well, Travis stripped the puck. He beat Backstrom, and he gives it to Kokkonen. Now Kokkonen, again, I say to you guys, if the puck's 2 feet off the ice, goalies are going to get them. That's where their hands are hanging. That's when the butterfly, their pads are hanging out. You go up. You guys watch. If you go up by the shoulders, and even if you're just sitting there now, you know, wherever you're at, it's hard to get pucks up off your shoulders. And that's where Kokkonen put his. That's where Woody put his. That's where Severson put his. So I look at Travis, and Travis tries. Like, he has got a lot of wear and tear, and it would hurt a guy like him because every second day we're playing. You know, there's no rest. And then the other thing I think is, and I'll get into this, but if you're a defenseman, you can play it a little bit safer, right? You can just say, okay, I'm not going to pinch up. I'm not going to jump up in the play. My legs aren't feeling good. I wish some of our D did this. So I'm just going to play it safe, not get beat, and not have a major breakdown. And then I had a good shift. So I'm just saying, with older forwards, they can't play it safe. They got to get in there and generate, like Travis and even Kyle. Although I haven't had problem with Kyle's energy, I think he's so energized and so mad and frustrated. He's taken some penalties, but he tries so hard. But again, I watch where Kyle is shooting the puck. I only say this, guys, because I was a goalie. I can tell you, there were some shots that Wayne Gretzky shot at me. If I didn't have a glove on, but I could have got my hand on the puck, it wouldn't have even hurt me. But he was so accurate up in off the shoulders or in those awkward places for a goalie. Kyle hasn't been able to find those spots this year, you know? And so, but the one thing you talked about supporting the young guys, this is, you know, in the NHL, these guys are all good. They're so good. Like, I'm sure Jack Hughes doesn't admit it, but Jack has got to be overwhelmed how good these guys are. For his whole career playing in U.S. Junior League with 17, 18, 19-year-olds, he could do fancy little things, tricky things, surprise them. You can't do that here. So we need our veterans to help. But even at this level, some players are better than others. And they just, even if they're tired, you look at two players, when those two players are tired, 9 out of 10 times this guy on the right is going to be a little bit better on the left because he has more talent or something, or hockey sense. So what was frustrating me when I heard some guys earlier on this year talking about, I want to make the players around me better. I'm here to support the young players. And I'm going crazy thinking, please quit talking about it. And how about helping on passes, backdoor passes through the seam in front of the net? I could make a clip of 7, 8 passes right from the top of the crease to the last defenseman who didn't have a stick in the right place or didn't go down. And so we haven't done a good job of what you were talking about of helping each other. And I think the defensemen have been most guilty to me. And when they've broken down, they've broken down dramatically. Like the Ranger game, remember the first game we lost? We weren't terrible, but when we broke down, it was like the thing shattered. So,
yeah.
I don't know, guys. I don't know what you can do with, I don't want to say names, but there's 4 or 5 guys on the blue line that they're just not going to get it done at a higher level. If we were gonna challenge for the playoffs, their play would have to rise so dramatically. I don't think it will. I don't think they'll be here next year. Some of them, if they can make changes. And then I'm going to shut up. I'm rambling here, and I apologize for monopolizing. But the one thing you always have to...
You're good. That's great.
Oh, thank you. I was at the gas station today, and this guy was there, and I'm rambling. But he said to me, he says, Chico, yeah, he was about 40-some, good fan. He says, you know what I was telling my sons? You know what I think we need? We need some big, tough goal scorer who can play on Jack Hughes' line and protect him, because some of those teams are now sort of, pushing him, whatever, physically abusing him. I said to him, his name was John. I said, John, I'm agreeing with you, but are these players hidden somewhere up in the Antarctic? Where are these guys? Where are we going to go get one beside them? I said, you got Tom Wilson, and he tries to hit, but every time he steps over the line, everybody goes crazy. I'm thinking, punish him whatever you want, but don't criticize him. He's playing hard. He's trying to finish, and he's 6'4". But would we love somebody like that? Oh, but where do you make these changes quickly? And I'm hoping Kevin Ball. We talked about. I'm hoping Kevin Ball. And like I say, tomorrow night we're going to play the Islanders. And I might have asked you guys the last time I was on, who are the Islanders' go-to defenses? Who's their 2 best defense? I asked John that today. Let's see. And Andy Green. No, not Andy Green. I love Andy. It's Pelech and Pulak. And that's their go-to guys. They're the foundation because they can move the puck and really, really play defense. And that's kind of what we need. We need a couple of guys that just are there to be tough around the net and pass well, move the puck, not just slap it around off the glass, but just say, I am going to box out. I am not going to let cross-ice passes go through me to the other side for a layup. But the problem is to get those guys, there's 31 teams looking for those guys, and they're just hard to find. Okay, I'm tired now. One of you guys talk. I'm kidding you, but you go ahead.
Here's the thing about the defense is that the defense on paper should be good. Honestly, like you had Ryan Murray with PK Subban, it should make sense. You put a defensive defenseman with PK Subban who's going to drive play, and PK is playing better this year, but he's not, he's not PK. He's not what we expected, and it didn't work. Ryan Murray has issues of when to pinch and when not to pinch, and that's been something they haven't been able to figure out. And it just seems, and then Sami Vatanen, his season never really got off the ground, and I feel like that had a lot to do with his struggles. But he's just missing guys multiple times, and then and Severson has been the best defenseman. But Severson, as his system and what he does is going to lead to mistakes every so often, just because he's a player who takes chances, and you have to love that about him. Yeah. And it usually leads to goals. But when you take chances, sometimes the risk can be more than the reward. And he's playing with a rookie, a really good rookie, but a rookie. Ty Smith is a rookie, and he's most of the time making the right decision, but every so often doesn't. I do want to move on real quickly, Chico, just because you've been around it. You've been a goalie. You know what it's like. I got people questioning Mackenzie Blackwood, and I need to know, what is your assessment? What is your assessment on Mackenzie Blackwood?
Okay, just let me finish up with Severson. All I'm saying to Damon, your point total You have 2 goals and you have 7 assists for 9 points. That is not absolving you from being locked down, rock solid defenseman, helping the young kid, Ty Smith, because Ty Smith battles. And he, and he gets beat, but he's going to be good. But anyway, I'm not trying to bury, because I like what you're saying, but these guys haven't played on who they are. PK Subban doesn't push the pace. He cannot generate any offense. And he's smart. He's getting smarter. He's playing defense. Just be unnoticeable, PK. And the same thing, Ryan Murray, I like Ryan. He's 5th overall pick. He's been hurt. His foot speed is kind of gone. He's trying, but, you are what you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a couple things about McKenzie. And again, guys, I do know a lot only because I'm old and I've been 50 years in the NHL. Mackenzie Blackwood's finish last year was Vezina Trophy worthy. It spoiled me. He was unbelievable, and we were texting. Now, this year, he started that way. But when he came back, he's had 3. Verona has 2. And who got the other one? Verona got 2. And the Ranger got... Fox. Beating him through the 5-hole on the ice. His stick... I'm texting, but you got to know his stick, his blocker pushed his stick, or his hand pushed the heel of the stick about 5-6 inches from his right toe, if you just think of being a goalie. Well, that's where all those pucks went. And I would, if I had a chance, I would say, Mackenzie, that's priority 1. That's the easiest shot for a player is, I'm just going to shoot it straight ahead on the ice. So why has that floated away from him? That would be a question. There's a new goalie coach, Rolly Melanson, left and was so tough on him. Rolly and I are good friends, and he would just not pound McKenzie in a bad way, but just kept informing him. It's like here when I do goalie schools, I do a lot. I said, don't tell me you want to be a great goalie. If I ask each one of you guys, do you want to be a great goalie? Of course, yeah, I do. Yeah. I get you want to be. But if I said to you, are you going to push yourself beyond what you think you have to go? I mean, can you go even beyond that? Carter Hart's struggling big time in Philly. He's been, and remember, he was going to be the elite. It's a tough business. And I don't know that McKenzie didn't have to dip here a little bit and start to recognize what Rolly was telling him. Hey, Rolly, McKenzie, no goalie is just naturally good in the NHL. It's a constant push and practice mentally. Like when the guy's coming down, push that stick out. Don't let that stick float to the side and open the 5-hole. His glove was impeccable last year. It's been pretty good, but he's bobbled more. So, but here's what I would say to the fans. Just trust me on this one. When we get good, McKenzie will be great. We are not good now, and he's going to be an extension of that. There's going to be backdoor plays. There's going to be shots that he wishes he had help in, and he's going to make a few mistakes. But listen, just be thankful that he is our goalie, because that guy is going to be really good.
Yeah, I think that it's a little overzealous. It's a little... People are being a little over the top about McKenzie. I know we want to win now, and I know we want to be great, but he's also really young. I think he's 24, and like for a goalie, that's basically 20. Yeah. And like you said, Carter Hart is struggling as well, and he's supposed to be the future of the division. We saw Shesterkin in New York, also a guy who's supposed to be the future. He struggled. Sorokin in New York and on the Islanders. He had a terrible start. So, these young goalies are going to go through ups and downs. Tristan Jarry in Pittsburgh, like this Atlantic Division, whatever it's called now. What are we now? The East Division has all these amazing young goalies. They've all struggled this year.
It's Mass Mutual.
Whatever. I don't know where we are.
No, that's okay.
But yeah.
but you know what? Here's the guys who haven't struggled. Vasilevsky, let's see. Oh, maybe the best team in the league. Certainly with Edmund in that defense. Okay. How about, who hasn't else started? Oh, the Islander goalies. But they have an airtight defense. Nobody plays better defense. Oh, Boston. My point is the goalies who aren't struggling are on great teams. Like Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, Pittsburgh is not a great team anymore. I mean, Letang is getting older, and he's still trying. But you look at their defensive core. Carey Price, they changed goalies, in Montreal. Our old buddy, Sean Burke, is the goalie coach because Carey's been up and down. Toronto, they complained about their goalies. My point is, if you don't have a well-structured, pretty consistent team that can play defense, your goalie, he might carry you for 10, 12 games. But I think, don't you guys think what makes the mystery of goaltending to me is this? We go into Boston and Scott Wedgwood, who nobody was really counting on, he plays lights out. I mean, he was brilliant. You say, why don't they just do that every game? Well, if you knew all the particulars, you'd realize. But it is a mystery.
He played it out of his mind. He stopped 40 shots. There were some really good shots in there too.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's what I say. You say, just do that every game. But having been a goal, there's so many factors. Like right now, I'm a little frustrated with Kulikov. He's backing into his end too quickly. It happened again last night, and he's screening the goalie. It happened with Wallstrom for the Islanders when he came down. So I'm just saying that's a factor. Was the goalie partially screened? Was the goalie able to step out with his heels on the back of the crease, or was the traffic in front of him, the opposition player, keeping him deep? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different situations that can occur. But I loved when Wedgwood made a backdoor save on Pasternak, and Pasternak went and hit him on the crest. Like, nice save, kid. I mean, I said, this kid's hot tonight, because even the top goal scorer in the league was impressed with that save. But then last night, I thought he played well again, but, some different things happening. The tip by Oshie, and somebody else roofed one. It was Orlov using Kulikov as a screen. I'm just saying, I'm trying to be really objective, and I will blame the goalies. But when I see our defense breaking down the way it does, it's not the number of shots. Honestly, it is the number of quality scoring chances. And, I think with the Ranger game, frustrating the first one, they scored on all theirs, but we outchanced them like 20-some to like 12 or 13. We just couldn't score. Yeah. So it's a tough one. If you guys ever figure that out, you let me know.
We'll definitely let you know.
I think we'll be rich men if that happens.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you guys. I'm going to ask you a really hard question here.
Okay.
If the season were to start in the fall, which it will, okay, which defenseman would you absolutely want to be back? Which defenseman? You tell me who you absolutely want to come back, Nico.
It's Severson and Ty Smith, and that's it. That's it. Same. There's no one else that I'm 100% want back. I would like Will Butcher back just because I don't think he's worth what his actual value is on the trade market. So I'd like to give him one last shot. Again, play him in a system that makes a little bit more sense for him. I've seen some flashes in the Lindy Ruff system with him that I think are positive, but if Seattle ends up claiming him, I wouldn't cry. But, I think I like PK. I like him a lot. I think that it should work. It's just not working. So And me trying to explain it has a lot to do with the fact that he's a boomer bust player, and I think the back injury took the boom away. So it's more bust than not. And you made a perfect point that he just has to be quiet. Just don't make noise at all. The boom is gone.
Right.
So just don't go for the boomer bust, because it's mostly going to be bust. I actually wrote an article a couple weeks ago because I assessed his career up until this point to what Scott Stevens did. And Scott Stevens was a scoring winger up until he was 29 years old. Subban's 30, I think. So basically the same time. And Stevens, he changed because the presence of Niedermeyer. And Niedermeyer was about to be a Hall of Fame career. You don't want to have two players that are so similar. So Stevens assessed the situation and changed how he played. He's like, fine, you're a better scoring defenseman than me, Scott Niedermeyer. I'm going to shut everyone down. And I think Subban still has that ability to be like a Scott Stevens, a knock him out, put the fear of God into people kind of defenseman, but it would take a complete and utter change in mindset from Subban for him to do that. And I don't know if not even just Subban, I don't know if players today can make that kind of change to their play style.
Well, you make a good point, and PK can't. And here's where PK got lured in. When PK was young with Montreal, you could step up and knock people around in the neutral zone, right? You could. And he threw some big thunderous checks, right? It was a little more wide open. His shot, if you could convince PK, would you take 30 miles off your shot and just be more accurate? Because I'm telling you, from back there, if somebody in front could just see it a few times to tip it, he'd get a lot of assists, or there'd be rebounds. And so he can't score like 19 goals. He can't because of the mobility. You see how they score now. He can't hit in the neutral zone. And in front, you cannot cross-check and bang and all that stuff you used to, right? You could tie up. And so really, I would say, PK, you have no alternative. And I know the coaches on the Devils, they've told him that. And the only thing PK needs to do, and he's not alone. I mean, it can be Will. Some of the time, and I love Larry Robinson, you guys. Larry Robinson would say, look, you can pivot, you can rush at a guy in the corner, but if your stick is not in a position that if that player with the puck wants to pass it through you, if your stick is in that position, you're a dead duck. Because you can rush at me as fast as you want, but if I just pass it through you, that's all I want anyway. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have, you watch how many times our sticks, defending sticks, are not in the proper place. It sounds so elementary, but Larry Robinson was a master. Stick on puck. You used to do drills where you would just follow the puck with the stick in front of it. It sounds like nothing, but it's everything around the net, because now you can't physically intimidate. So that's what I would say. And if PK could just do that, if Kulikov, same thing, he's not going to be, he's always struggled. He's first round pick. He always struggled. I think you're right. When you're talking about, can guys change because they have an identity? Kulikov had an identity. He was a bit of an offensive player. He could throw some checks. That's passed him by. But with Scott Stevens, you were absolutely right about Scott changed his mindset. But the difference was with Scotty, his pivoting and mobility is at least 30% or more better than PK's. I'm not knocking PK. He is who he is. Scott played football in high school. That guy, and I was saying, he kind of has a build like Ovechkin. These guys don't get hurt. They're like the perfect 6 foot, thick in the legs, thick up top, but flexible and really strong and know how to hit. I mean, we forget how many big checks that Ovechkin both took and hit. I mean, he's been in the league a long time when hitting was still a big part of it. But so I think PK can't do that, but just help McKenzie, help the defense, those young forwards, by just supporting defensively. So if they make a mistake, you're there to help them. And that's what I'm finding when some of our defense are floating out of position in that. Like, you're not even there to help the young guys, which is what you say you want to do. And I mean, it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. Like, I always talk, I made so many mistakes, you guys. If you would have had your podcast back then, you would have said, hey, Nick said, Sammy, hey, Sammy, a lot of the fans are upset with Chico. They think he's lost it. And it would be legit. I did make a lot of mistakes, so I understand. But tell me this, you guys, and here's something you could help me with. I said to Maddie, like, somebody was talking about how Kenny Danico is just kind of a cheerleader and always, accentuates a positive. Mm-hmm. And I was like that more on TV. I get it, because they're Devils fans and they don't want to hear, a negative. But now I'm saying, especially on the radio, I can't watch it and not say what I saw. Like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, should I be honest with the fans? Really, would they sooner me be really optimistic and positive and then just say, I don't want to hear the negative. I know they're not very good, but I don't want to hear that. What do you guys think?
I just want to say that there's a difference between being negative and being constructive and being inflammatory on air. The best commentators that I've listened to present it in a way where it's constructive, it's fair, yet exciting. And whether it's a bad play or a good play or whatever, that's kind of my thoughts. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather you be honest with me, especially on the radio, because I can't see what's happening. But even on TV, and I like Ken, and I know what he's doing. And Ken is not, like, I was listening to the Caps broadcast yesterday, just because I was having trouble with MSG, so I had to jump on the Caps broadcast. And I like what they were doing, but they are absolute homers. And one time I had to listen to the Boston TV guys, and they are like, they're just lying to you. But that's what the fans base wants. So, I like Ken. I think he's doing a good job. And you said it yourself. When it's a TV product, I could see what happened. I know they made a bad play. So you're just trying to find other analysis. On the radio, I didn't see what happened. So you have to be truthful with me. This guy messed up. This guy, if it's on the goalie, it's a bad glove, or if it's on the defenseman, he's out of position, or you got to call it like it is. And before we go real quick, I really just want Chico Resch in the media scrum. or whatever it is now, the Zoom scrum, because I want you to be asking the players questions, and I want to see, because they would answer you. They wouldn't give Chico Resch we got to play better. They wouldn't give the ho-hum hockey the answers. They'd answer you.
Well, thank you. Let me ask you this now. Okay, you got because I was thinking of this, and I said it to Maddie. Now, I like Jack Hughes, and I get it. And Jack was under, I thought, a lot of pressure. He says he never feels pressure. He was under the scrutiny of, like, are you going to be the next great one? And what happens is those young players now, you guys, are schooled by their agents to say, don't answer honestly, like, because if you answer too honestly and it's something that sounds insecure or something, they'll use it like, yeah, so-and-so, he's not playing well, he doesn't feel very good about himself, whatever. So I get it all, but Jack was on, I think it was before the Ranger game, and one of the writers said, Jack, are you and the players feeling any pressure? Now, we have lost, I don't know how many we lost at home. And he said, no, there's no pressure. No, we don't, we're just going to, we're going to work through this. We're trying to, and I'm thinking, Jack, you're talking to, honest-minded people here. If there's no pressure and you're losing and you're not scoring, not just him, the team, and you, then what are we all doing? This is just ridiculous. I mean, I didn't say, so I would have called, I would have done it. Would this have been right if I would have said, Jack, you make it sound like feeling pressure is bad. Feeling pressure isn't bad. Now, feeling anxious, now if you're saying, oh, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety here, that's not good because that's in the moment coming apart at the seams, right, with your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
But pressure is something you're thinking about before the game. I have fans. I'm getting paid. Like, these fans are watching not because they love me for my what I do in the summer. They come and watch me and admire me because they want to be entertained. But nobody was going to pin Jack down and saying, like I said, and I'm not ripping on Jack. It could be anything. But I would say to Jack, after we lost to the Rangers, I would say to Jack or any of the guys, hey guys, are any of you feeling any pressure now? Because if you're sloughing it off, that's not good. If you're just not telling us because you're afraid that some writers or some people will use it against you, then I get it. But don't tell me you're not feeling any pressure, because if you're not, I don't know that I want you on my team. At that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how you guys interpret pressure. I don't think it's all bad.
Yeah, and sometimes I think fans want to see emotion as well, because if you're losing, we would like to see the fire, the fire that this is unacceptable, and some press conferences in the past, like Larry Robinson, or that incident with after Game 4 Eastern Conference Finals, and that focus. Fans want to see a level of focus and accountability, and I know that word's been used a lot recently with Lindy Ruff, because once you're truthful for the fans are more understanding. That. But Chico, well, thank you so much for coming on. We got to have you again. We'll talk. We'll definitely talk later, offline, about that. And very well appreciated. Thank you for your insight.
Well, you said Nick was a talker, but I'm sorry, Nick. I'm the biggest loudmouth. I even overshadowed Nick. But you guys are so kind to let me spew, because I'm still so passionate. And I just love the kids and the career starting, and I want the veterans to do better. And when they don't, I'm probably taking a little bit too personal. But and then I hear you guys, and you guys are into it even more than I am. So you know what I mean? I just love to be able to talk and vent and do all this stuff, not to be critical, because it's going to happen. We have. And then I'll get off this. But I truly believe we have at least 7 or 8 pieces that I am sure can play on a championship team. There's a couple others we'll see. There's a few we have to add. But I am not discouraged. I mean, I am not. I mean, I would like to win more. But if the process of developing, however that looks in the dressing room, and I know the coaches are working, and what the coaches are saying to the players and putting pressure on them is more than what we're doing. I mean, if all that is percolating properly and these guys are growing, I'm happy. I mean, because we aren't better. We're not better than the Islanders. We're not better than the Caps. We're not better than Boston. And we're better than the Rangers, though. But but I'm just saying, as frustrating as it is, nothing has changed that blew up on us, that I thought, that just wrecked our future. That just wrecked the immediate future. No, it's going good. It really is.
Yeah, well, definitely. And Chico, we'll talk soon.
Thank you, boys. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Chico. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chico. That is Chico Resch. Let's play it once more.
Things will be better. Oh, yes, they will. For Chico and the man. Yes, they will. For Chico and the man.
And the man. Well, you know, that's the perfect theme song because the perfect ending that Chico says, you know, things are going to be okay. They're going to be okay with the New Jersey Devils.
So I had to ask, which one's the man? Am I the man or are you the man?
I don't know.
I'll be the guitar player. I'll let you be the man. It'll be fine.
It's Matt Lachlan. He's the man.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Chico and the man. Oh,
yeah.
Like you said, we're going to be hearing that on Devils at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I want to talk about this. And Chico, he said so many things that I want to assess. But I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want to get Chico, and I don't think he'll get in trouble exactly, but you know, he was honest, and especially about the defense, and he's not wrong. I mean, Sam, like, who's been playing well? Even Severson has struggled, but he's clearly the best defenseman we have. But is he a first-line defenseman on a championship team? I don't know. You know, so I think that he's definitely a great top 4 guy. He's definitely somebody you want on the team. He's on a great contract. There's so many things that are working out with Severson, and he's a perfect second-round pick. Everything about it I love. The issue is that I look at next year, and are you going to go with, you know, Ty Smith, Will Butcher, Kevin Ball on the left side, and then you got PK, Severson, and I don't know. Like, who are you gonna? Who's nobody's ready. Ball's not even ready. And I said that. I said that earlier. I think I said that when you were getting Chico, but Ball's not ready. I don't think he'll be ready next year either. And that's no offense to him. It just takes defensemen longer. Riley Walsh is not ready. Riley Walsh won't be ready until the third year of his entry-level contract.
I hope the Devils get the first overall and get Owen Power immediately.
Brant Clark is better, and so is Luke Hughes. I think if they get a chance to get Luke Hughes, they're going to take Luke Hughes just to hope that, you know, you lock in the Hughes brothers. You kind of Sedin twins them. You know, I don't know how important that is.
Make a big trade for Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, the Vancouver's in a bad way. They're in a bad way on the salary cap. I don't think they trade Quinn Hughes, but if you blow the doors off them with the you know, but the problem is to get Quinn Hughes, you'd need a top 5 pick, and the other problem is here's the other problem, Sam. Vancouver sucks this year, and they could get Luke Hughes. Imagine if Quinn and Luke are playing in Vancouver and Jack's over here looking at them. That would scare me. I wouldn't like that. But we don't have to talk about that. What I want to ask you, Sam, and this is a pivot. I love that interview. I love what he said about Subban. I learned a lot about Subban in that interview because I've been kind of hoping that if you just change his mindset, it would fix some things. But I think there's just there's just an issue with, and I think the back injury just ruined him. Like COVID has ruined the season. I think the back injury ruined Subban, and I don't know if there's fixing it. Maybe you just have to live with the fact that he's a third-line defenseman that's getting paid $9 million. That's probably what you have to live with, and that's fine because we had $38 million in cap space next year. We have to spend 17 just to get to the floor. So if you trade Subban, now you have to spend 26 just to get to the floor, and that sounds like you're signing somebody like, you know what I want to do next year, Sam. You know what I want to do? And this is completely unrealistic, but I'm going to write about it at some point anyway because it's funny. I want to give Alexander Ovechkin $12 million. Give him a 5-year, $60 million deal. Pay him to the end of his contract. That you are going to make so much money on his run towards Gretzky That $12 million is going to get made in seconds. Let him play in New Jersey. Let him, I've heard that Kovalchuk says good things about playing in New Jersey. I understand we hate Kovalchuk, but apparently he doesn't hate us. So he talks to his Russian friends. Igor Yakovlev has said good things to Nikita Gusev on his way into New Jersey. Gusev obviously didn't work out, but I don't know how he feels about the team in the area in general. Maybe it was just a weird fit. And that's how Yakovlev, who I don't know if y'all remember him, I had high hopes from him on defense, and it just didn't work. It is what it is. But I think that you pay Ovechkin $12 million. I don't care. Give him 13. Who the hell cares? Who are we spending this money on? Sam? We're gonna have to pay Ty Smith in 2 years. We're gonna have to pay Jack Hughes in a year. But you have $38 million next year. Figure it out, and it's Ovechkin. It's not like he's going to forget how to shoot the puck. He's still playing at a superstar level. He can still score 35 to 40 goals.
How long is Chara signed for?
It's just this year.
Well, maybe unload for Chara just for 1 year. Give him the max you can. Yeah, but you know what? It's just a 1 year contract, and you got to get to the floor.
There you go.
There you go.
But I want to ask you one quick thing before we leave. I know we went over, but it's okay. We're a podcast. I know I'm holding you hostage here, but what do you think about the ESPN deal?
Well, it's like seeing an ex-girlfriend again for the first time in 17 years.
Yeah.
That's not that I've ever experienced that or anything, but it's kind of like, oh, what have you been up to? Doing basketball, promoting football, TB12, Tom Brady this, Tom Brady this. Oh, what have you been doing? We were on the Outdoor Life Network, and we had
the
Doc
Golf
Emmerich
Channel
do all these games and all that. The Golf Channel, all that stuff. This is what I have to say, because
are you saying we're the ones who got fat?
No. What I'm saying is we've moved on, and then suddenly they're back, right?
Okay.
Out of convenience, because NBC Sports is gonna shut it down. More of the Peacock network. I think really what I'm trying to say is, look, it's kind of like a friend with benefits. It's non-exclusive, right? They've got the Canadian deal, that monster Sportsnet deal in Canada, the NHL.
Yeah.
And now they're looking for another one to partner up in the United States. And I think as much as I'm not really a big fan of today's ESPN, I like to see Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith try to talk hockey. And I think that's funny. And if it means bringing back Gary Thorne and my good friend Bill Clement for one last hurrah, it'd mean the world to our childhood, because we grew up watching them.
Yeah.
And it would be a nice way to go out, because what happened to those two after the lockout, the year-long lockout, and all the big changes, who knew back in 2004 that would happen? And that last Stanley Cup final that they called between the Flames and Tampa, that fight between LeCavier and Jerome McGinley was epic. And they called it, and I would love for them to call one more Stanley Cup Finals, because a whole generation only knows those two through EA Sports, believe it or not. And it would be kind of cool if ESPN can make it happen. That's all. And Barry Melrose coming back, and Darren Pang and Steve Levy. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun, and I like Barry Melrose. I think I'd love to get him on the podcast. I'm going to start pushing for ESPN people on the podcast now because I think that they're going to be looking to promote this. Let's take some advantage, Sam. But
absolutely.
And you ready for the professional tease?
What's that?
Tomorrow on pucksandpitchforks.com, I'm going to tell you why the ESPN deal specifically helps the Devils this year.
Ooh.
Before a dime goes into any owner's pocket, that's going to help the Devils this season.
Well, I'd ask you to tell me now, but I guess I'm going to have to go to pucksandpitchforks.com to find out tomorrow. Am I correct?
You are. Tomorrow morning after 7:30 a.m., it'll be up. I'll also have another piece up on players I would want Jack Hughes to play with. Jack Hughes is, we haven't had any good wingers for Jack yet. I picked some of the star players around the league that I think are attainable. And an old Devils fan favorite is on the list.
Ooh.
Man, teasing on teasing.
By the way, I will read your articles on pucksandpitchforks.com, and maybe you just gave me some material for the Woo Report tomorrow.
Ooh.
Sometime.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I'll plug again. And also, I did fact check. The Hells Angels line was Steve Thomas at center.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Peter Sikora at center, Steve Thomas on the left wing, and Billy Guerin on the right wing. And that was the top line.
Okay.
Yep.
It was a rough season. 96 was a rough season.
Yeah, by one game. All right, well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Thank Chico Resch for coming on. We'll be back next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Till next time, let's go Devils.